In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this darling little circle puff pincushion. In the process of creating this keepsake, we're going to brush up on a few hand sewing skills like the whip stitch and the satin stitch or buttonhole stitch. Once you make one of these, I'm sure you'll be hooked and make many in different color combinations. The supplies you'll need for this project are wool felt, a coordinating small piece of woven fabric, embroidery floss, an embroidery sewing needle, ribbon trim 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch in width works great for this project, and a few buttons to embellish the top. To get started, you're going to need to cut 2 3¼ inch circles. I was lucky here I could use the pumpkin treat bag pattern piece. This is perfect, so just cut it out, place it on the felt. Using a rotary cutter, I'm able to just cut that out quickly. Use that as my next template, cut out my second circle, and we have 2 pieces ready to go. Then we're going to take the woven fabric and a smaller 2-inch circle. For this, I also could use the smaller circle in this pumpkin treat bag pattern. I've placed it on, set it down, used my magnets and my rotary cutter, and I'm cutting this out carefully around the edges. And there we have that top circle. Now I'm just going to use a little bit of fray check around the edges here just to make sure this doesn't fray. Then we're looking for a 1-inch circle. Now this spool of thread is the perfect size and everyone probably has something like this on hand, so just trace that as a template. Go ahead and cut it out and then cut it out of the felt. So here we have all of the cut pieces, the 2 large circles, the medium circle, and the small circle. Now we're going to start with 1 large circle, place the woven circle on top. I've pinned it down right in the center. I'm going to take 3 strands of embroidery floss, and I've just pulled that through some beeswax that helps to keep it from knotting up as I'm sewing all of my hand stitches. I'm going to come up through the back, and then we're just going to go all the way around the perimeter edge of this woven circle with the stitches as close together as possible, creating a satin stitch or a buttonhole looking stitch around the entire perimeter. So we'll just continue to do those hand stitches all the way around. And when you get to the end, we're just going to poke that through and knot that right on the back side. Then we're going to take the small accent circle and place that right in the center, pin it down. And then here we can use a little bit wider stitch to stitch this down. So this will look a little bit more decorative. They're evenly spaced in a contrasting thread, and you can see that pop against the colors. So we're just going to continue to stitch all the way around the circle. Then pull your thread up through the center on the back side. Grab your button, this would be the larger of the 2 buttons if you're stacking them, and thread that button through right at the center of all of your stacked circles. Then we're going to take our second smaller button and thread that right on top, carefully poking that through both sets of holes. This is a little bit challenging, just you can wiggle the buttons out of the way to get that in. So secure that down and then knot that on the back side. Now we're going to bring in our ribbon for the side, and here we're just going to attach the ribbon to the perimeter of that top circle using a whip stitch. So you'll just stitch around both edges to secure the wool to the ribbon. You want to do this carefully and evenly. This is a great project if you're just sitting there watching TV, or when you're watching a movie, or you're driving on a road trip. You can have projects like these with you. So we'll just continue to stitch that all the way around that entire perimeter. And then here when we get to the end is where the ribbon is going to overlap. So we'll just finish up these final stitches. And then we're going to take the ribbon, overlap it, folding the edge under so that there's a clean finish. And once we have that lined up, I'm just going to pin that down, finish stitching the top of my circle right up to that seam line. And then I'm going to turn this and then we'll stitch through that overlap. So the edge again is folded under, and we'll do a few little stitches to secure that all the way down to the end. And there we have the top section connected to the sides. Now we're going to bring in the bottom of the pincushion, and then we're just going to repeat that process, doing the whip stitch all the way around, connecting the wool felt to the bottom edge of the ribbon. So do that all the way around that entire perimeter edge, leaving a 2-inch opening so that we can stuff the inside of that pincushion. So I've left my thread here connected. I haven't cut it yet. Here's my opening. Now we're going to do a mixture of rice and polyfill. So let's start putting that rice in there. This is a little bit challenging to get in here with my fingers, but I have that in there. Shake it around. Now start stuffing in the polyfill stuffing. So we're going to pack that in. We want this to be really tight and firm. Now we're going to try a little bit more rice. This time I've tried to make a paper cone and you can see I'm doing this a little bit better. So we're able to put some rice now on the bottom side. So the stuffing is in between the 2 layers of rice. We go ahead and now I'm just going to press that in so it's nice and even, and then do another layer of that polyfill right on top. Really just sandwiching all of that together nice and tight. So you can see this is taking shape. I'm going to push that in a little bit tighter around the edges. My ribbon along the seam line, you can see that it's kind of puckery. So we want this to be packed in so tightly that we don't have any puckering at all. It's a nice, smooth, firm pincushion across the top, the bottom, and the sides. So you can see that's looking a little bit better. Take a little bit more stuffing. Seriously, this can use so much stuffing. It's amazing how much you can pack into this tiny little ball. So we shove that in there. We're pressing that in, using my fingertips to get it into all the little crevices, and this is feeling really good. So it's nice and tight, it's nice and firm, and I can press it all around the edges very, very tightly. And now we're going to flip this over. So this is my thread here extending out, and I'm just going to continue to whip stitch that all the way around to sew that opening closed. A little bit more stuffing, push that in, and then we come right up to that overlap seam of the ribbon as we get our whip stitching all the way done. And then right here, I'm just going to pull that in, loop it around, and tie a knot to secure it. Give it some nice little pressing here to shape it all, get it all smooth, make sure everything looks good. And there we have it. Here is our finished circle pincushion. Isn't this so cute? I love this ribbon trim from Renaissance Ribbons, the little scissors, the accent fabrics on the top, the little layers of buttons. It's all adorable. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. This was a lot of fun to put together, and I hope you're inspired and motivated to make some adorable keepsake pincushions too.